Hi, welcome to Laura's View and Tarot 2. I am so glad you're here. Today's date is Sunday, October 6th, 2024. Now, yesterday in Butler, Pennsylvania, in the United States here, our 45th president, Donald J. Trump, returned to Butler, Pennsylvania, the scene of the attempted assassination on him a couple of months ago, and he completed the rally he should have been able to complete that day. It was a huge event. There were people in attendance, he said, farther than the eye could see. I've heard crowd estimates of over 100,000 people in that little town of Butler, Pennsylvania, going to show support and a desire to have our country be great again. So it was pretty inspiring. I'll say that. And no, I didn't watch the whole thing. I just watched snippets. I try to be really honest with you guys. There's times I sit through an entire rally, but not always. Okay. Now, one of the things that was noted, and it was noted very happily, was that at exactly 6:11 p.m., the time of the previous assassination attempt, there was a moment of silence. And that in and of itself is very respectful and it was touching. But there may have been more to it, and that's what the purpose of this video is. We're going to see if there was some communication going on as well. Now, here's why I say that. I'm going to a share screen. We're going to look at a couple of 17 drops that may have 6:11 as a factor in them. You go ahead, 6:11 p.m. was when the moment of silence was. And let's then, after we do that quick review, we'll see what the tarot cards want to inform us about it. Now, just so you know, if the short compilation I take you to interests you, you can click on the video description box and there will be a Facebook link and it will take you to that. But it's really nothing too obscure. You can just follow along and not worry about trying to follow those links, okay? Let's go to that share screen and I'll show you what I've got so far. All right. George on the platform known as X had this tweet. Trump timed his speech, and at exactly 6:11 p.m., which is when the tragedy in Butler occurred, he stopped everything for a moment of silence. Ephesians 6, verse 11 says, Put on the whole armor of God that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. And he said that gave him goosebumps. Okay, now if you'd like to read that entire social media post and the replies to it, you can click on this very first link here. I don't think they've kept us from having one, but let me make sure here. Now, so I just used the image for my thumbnail here. Now we being me, I went to the site that compiles, one of the sites that compiles 17 posts, and it did. It's simply scripture. For now we see only a reflection as in a mirror, then we shall see face to face. And it now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. Corinthians 13, verses 4 through 13. And then here for Ephesians chapter 6, verse 10 to 18, here is where it talks about the armor of God. Okay. And I'm wondering if there's a little promise in here about us knowing more fully. That would be really, really exciting, to have that understanding and that knowing become more evident, not obvious. Now, looking at the fact that it was just Ephesians 6, verse 11 and 6:11 p.m., I also went to the 17 post for 6:11, and it talked about someone had a loss, but what the 17 team had put, our deepest condolences, Patriot. God be with you and your family during this difficult time. And certainly there are some people who are going through incredibly difficult times right now. So I had that one social media post and then two references to 17 posts. And I just wanted to let's just ask the universe for some insights and information about this event and the timing and communication possible element to it. Okay, one moment. I'm going to change the camera and let you watch me work with the cards. So we're looking for insights and information about the any possible communications and significance and meaning to the timing of the 6/11 moment of silence, certain 17 drops, which also have some references to 6/11 as far as scripture phrases and other insights and information. The yes or no element is going to be just basically, is there more to what happened there as that poster and many think, plus additional insights and information. Oops. Hey, look at that flipped out. We have an ace of swords. We've got a yes here. I'm going to set it off to the side, but not off camera range. And just in case my hand moved, I wasn't watching the camera. I don't want you to ever think that I take these cards out of camera range while I'm working with them because I really want to be as surprised as you are by what the universe says. But we got our yes. We have our yes already. That's so sweet. Okay. Situation is, and the question is indicated with the Nine of Wands, Knight of Swords. We have the Three of Swords for the recent past card. Current, we've got Seven of Swords. Lots of swords and wands showing up here. And remember, swords are our suit that indicates written and spoken words, contracts, things like that. Also associated with justice, whereas the wands are associated with events. And he's wearing a band-aid over his same ear that Mr. Trump was injured with. We got another sword showing up with the Eight of Swords. Then we have the Moon card. This is a really unusual spread showing up, and the Six of Cups. Okay, so let's take a look at what these cards are telling me kind of intuitively, and then the elements in them that did that I'll share with you because I don't think tarot should be a mystery. I think everybody can, to some extent, read these, just as we can all learn to do basic reading, even if not everybody decides to, read War and Peace. But the newspaper, at least, everybody should be able to get to the newspaper reading level of tarot cards, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so again, with a little bit of that dry element of humor that the universe can sometimes have, Mr. T in this event was listed with the Nine of Wands. Also, nines are getting close to an ending, so we're getting told that we're getting close to some endings coming on here, okay? The white hat element of the whole thing, yes, we had our yes. There was communications involved, and it did relate back to those 17 posts, the scripture. Okay, now we've got the Knight of Swords, which is our white hat element. Okay, recent past, we had the heartache that involved with seeing attempted harm happen to a very beloved public figure, Donald J. Trump. Okay, now in the current, they've decided to push ahead. Now, Mr. T was not on stage in the same way he was in the original rally. He was behind some protective glass, so there were increased measures. And I sure hope they found some three-letter agency folks that were able to handle sloped roofs this time. So anyway, they proceeded, and communication that not long now, not long now. Now, but there is still, we're still waiting for some of those connections to finish being made before things go public. Okay. We do have, it looks like in the near future, one of the communications we're getting here is there is going to be a seeming passing on the earthing plane, but I don't see that for Mr. T. Okay. I just see that they're looking forward to, they've decided someone's going to be written off the script before some of these changes we're looking for occur. And the reason I say no worries is because while this is the strongest one, this tells us more. This card does. And the Six of Cups is a card of loving and reconciliation and just, good things. So, yeah, that's why I'm saying that it's only going to be like the appearance. Someone's going to be written out of the story so that they can move ahead with some of the plans and stuff. So there was a connection. Absolutely. There were communications involved. And as with many of them, they are designed to have people who are awake and aware know that they are right to hold the line and to kind of intuitively know when it's time to advance the line, but definitely not to turn away from truth. And even, the sometimes the criticisms that come from others. So yeah, there was communication involved. Mr. T indicated here with this card and the band-aid because he was back on the very spot where he ended up with one for a brief time. Okay. White had involvement going on here. The heartache we had when he was hurt. There's just lots going on here, and I'm not worried about the moon card showing up because I don't see that as being a prospectus for someone beloved. But the fact that someone's going to be leaving the stage before we can move forward in the way that the Knight of Swords wants to. Let's get two more cards though and see if there's a little more confirmation, deeper insights, whatever. Remember, these last two cards will be, again, looking at the near future, but not quite as impactful as these, where someone's going to be leaving the stage, but don't worry, no one's going to be losing any sleep over it or unhappy about it. They're just going to be written out of the story. The Tower moment's coming up. Oh, yay. And Justice. Talk about that. Boom. Two major arcana showing up here at the end. So, yeah, it doesn't get much better than this, folks. We are coming down to the wire. We knew October was going to be eventful. We know that moving into the end of our calendar year as we currently perceive it, lots of events are going to be happening. Okay. But we're being reassured that the changes that do come, okay, unless you're in the shenanigans gang, ultimately you're going to be very happy to see them and to see some justice happening. And I think we're all ready for that, aren't we? So let's recap. Yesterday in Butler, Pennsylvania, Donald J. Trump conducted in completion the rally that was interrupted a couple of months ago by an assassination attempt. During that time of the rally at 6:11, they paused for a moment of silence to remember the life that was lost that day, even though it wasn't Mr. T, it was a patriot who was protecting his family. Um, and there was a special spot in the stands, by the way, to honor him and the loss that happened that day, and for just to know his family to know that they haven't been forgotten. And wouldn't it be nice if all of our leaders, perceived and actual, let people know that they weren't forgotten? Anyway, we were asking, was there some significance to that? Because a poster on the platform known as X now had said that he got goosebumps and thought there might be a connection between the timing of that, the 6:11, and some scripture verses. And indeed, while that could have seemed a little random when we looked at 17 posts, the 17 post number 6:11 talked about condolences for a loss. And then when we looked at one that had the Ephesians verses listed in it, they're right there in the 17 drops too. So we said, hey, is there a connection going on here? Is there communication? Was there more to this than just some random elements that seem to have maybe some points of uh, connection? And while I was working with the cards, out popped the Ace of Swords. So we had a yes before we even laid a card down. Okay. But we were still looking for more information. Now, you have to understand that I find sometimes what the cards share with me a little entertaining. And our question was indicated with the Nine of Wands, which is a card saying, hey, we're getting close. We're getting close to some closure and endings, guys. But also the fact that the person in the illustration has a bandage that comes over the same ear that Mr. T was injured in. I thought that was kind of amusing. And just a notation here that the white hearts are part, and I call them white hearts. And I've had people say, "Are you mispronouncing that?" And I'm going to stop what I'm doing here and explain it for those of you that might be newer viewers or just, occasionally and randomly catch one of my videos. Okay, I use the term interchangeably. My thought is, if the white hats have stayed true to their mission and their calling and their objectives of what they want, not just for this country, but for the world, then they are going to shine so brightly with light and love, that they will have what appears to be a white heart. And this also kind of implicitly acknowledges that some have, to some extent, lost their way. And that's why it's not always wrong to think that maybe a few have become what we call gray hats. Maybe they're discouraged, maybe they're controlled opposition that infiltrated, what have you. But the vast majority of white hats are indeed white hearts. So I use that respectfully and interchangeably. But it's not a misspeaking on my part. I have enough of those as it is. When we looked at the near future, it looked like, well, they're proceeding as they can with as much as they can as the plan. We're still in a little bit of a holding pattern. Remember, we did show that Nine of Wands says, but we're getting close, guys. And it looked to me like, and don't, if you know tarot cards, don't get any misgivings here. We did have for the strongest insight card, the Moon card showed up, which often, besides the fact that it always indicates some falsehoods and things like that, and we know that the media attempted to downplay the events of Butler, Pennsylvania and the harm that was intended and everything like that. But intuitively, I'm thinking that they're waiting for someone to leave the plot, the storyline, before they go farther with reveals and information and events. However, hang on, before we get there to the however, the reconciliation card of the Six of Cups showed up, which is reconciliation and reunion. And it just said that, told me that's what was telling me that the Moon card was not troubling. Okay, it's just simply acknowledging that something is a prerequisite before we get to this. And that is probably someone getting written out of the storyline. And we know a few people that we wouldn't mind if we didn't hear about anymore or from anymore, right? Who are perceived to be in positions of power and authority. Okay, the Tower card showed up. And this is farther down the line. So this would be post removal of the storyline of whoever was being indicated by the cards. And we all know who our favorites are to think for that. And they might not all be the same, and that's okay. But the Tower moment is starting to show up now in our future cards. So we are getting to some pivotal and very changeable times coming on, and justice is coming. Hope you got goosebumps with that. I sure did. And it can't come too soon, and it can't come too thoroughly, as long as it comes accurately. Justice. That's it for this video. I thank you so much for your time and your attention and viewing with me. I don't know if you're aware of it, but I'm working with some new equipment. I'm trying to move over to Apple products, and this is the first video I've done just with Apple products. So it was definitely kind of a trial by fire for me. But I'm hoping that the video quality will be somewhat improved, as well as the acoustics and the audible portion of what I do. So got fingers crossed on that. Anyway, until next time, I send you, if you're willing to receive it, love, light, and I wish for you all things bright always.